Welcome here. Today we're going to be reading about what was the Battle of Gettysburg. Before we get started, please go give some credit to Jim O'Connor that was by him and illustrated by John Mantha. What was the Battle of Gettysburg? Before we start, please like and subscribe and share this with your friends if they really like history. All right, let's get right into this. What was the Battle of Gettysburg? An imprint of Penguin Group USA Inc. And then we have different chapters or contents. Okay. So today we're probably going to make all the way to page 12. What was the Battle of Gettysburg? Today, many Americans think the Civil War or the war between the states was just about slavery. 25 states in the North fought to end slavery, while 11 states in the South fought just as hard to keep the right to own slaves. Slavery was essentially the biggest issue of the war, but there were other reasons for the Civil War. One issue was states' rights. That means how much power each state had over itself. What if states no longer wanted to be part of the United States of America? Did they have the right to break away and start with their own country? The South said, yes, we can do that if we want. The North said, no, we're one country, and that is the way it has to stay. Okay, so that was a brief pickup of what the Battle of Gettysburg was. So we're gonna take a dive in a more than 80-page book, for sure. More than 100 pages, actually. Alright, so this is the real first. In the years before the war began, many southern states felt that the anti-slavery North was threatening their way of life. Cotton was the main industry throughout most of the South. Cotton was grown on farms called plantations. Some plantations were huge. Some place in North California had more than 100,000 acres of land. Southern cotton growers used slaves as unpaid workers. Large plantations required many slaves to plant, weed, and pick the crops. It was not uncommon for rich cotton growers. And the next page, here's a picture right here. This book doesn't have many pictures, but it's okay. So, called Cotton Kings, to own 500 slaves. Slaves belonged to their owners in the same way that horses and cows did. Slaves had no rights. They could not vote. They could not own property. They were sold at auctions by 1860. There were almost 4 million slaves living in the South. In the north, the land was not suitable for growing cotton or tobacco. Another big crop in the south northern farms were small. More people worked in factories and businesses. Although in the early days of the United States of America, some people in the northern states had owned slaves. Slavery had largely died out by the 1820s. Many people in the north thought slavery was horribly wrong, and had to be abolished or ended. Everywhere in the United States, the abolishment movement grew stronger in the years before the Civil War. A novel called Uncle Tom Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe came out in 1852. It dramatized the harsh life of slaves and sold an amazing 300,000 copies in 1 year. It won the abolishment many new followers. There had always been tension between the North and South, but it was growing much worse. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. It was the last straw for the southern states. Lincoln was against slavery and did not want it spreading to any new state that came into the Union. He also believed that states did not have the right to succeed or leave the Union. But that is just what 7 southern states did in early 1861. They formed the Confederate States of America. Later, 4 more states succeeded. On April 12, 1861, Confederate gunners. Alright, here's Abraham Lincoln, and here's the Union flag, Confederate flag. Opened fire on Fort Sumter in Jensen Harbor. South Carolina, the bombardment lasted 34 hours and left the fort of a pile of rubble. Amazingly, there was no Union casualties. Fort Sumter soon surrendered. The Civil War had begun. Okay, we have the picture right here with some Confederate soldiers firing on the Union soldiers. So the striped states are the Union and the Confederate states are that. Oregon, California, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Kentucky all joined the Union. And then the ones that joined the Confederate States are Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Page. Jefferson Davis was the first and only president of the Confederate States of America. He was born in Kentucky on the 3rd of 1808. Only about 100 miles from where Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809. 1809. Davis graduated from West Point, that is United States Military Academy in West Point, New York. Many famous soldiers as well as numerous presidents graduated from West Point. Davis served in the United States Army and later became a rich cotton grower in Mississippi, like all cotton growers. Davis owned slaves. He had at least 74 slaves. Working on his plantation, one named William Jackson worked in Davis's house and later became a spy for the Union during the war. Davis served 2 terms as United States Senator from Mississippi. Oddly, before the Civil War started, Davis argued in Congress against southern states breaking away from the Union. He wanted southern states to find a way for Congress to let them keep their slaves. However, in 1861, after 7 southern states left the Union, Jefferson Davis resigned his seat in the Senate. In November 1861, he was elected president of the Confederate States. His vice president was Alexander H. Stephens from Georgia. He has served in the U.S. House of Representatives. Jefferson Davis was a cold and demanding leader. His best decision was appointing Robert E. Lee to command the Confederate States troops. When the war ended, Davis was arrested, charged with treason. However, there was never a trial. Jefferson Davis was released from prison in 1867 and died in New Orleans on December 6, 1889. That is a picture of Jefferson Davis, the leader of the Confederate States, at least he was. In July 1863, 2 massive armies fought a deadly battle around the little town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The American Civil War has been raging for 2 years. North against South, a civil war is when people of the same country go to war against one another. Brothers fight brothers, fathers oppose. Sons long friendships end in hatred and death. That's a Union soldier right there. Actually, I have to show you something that I got. Actually, got some Army Men for Christmas, and specifically BMC Civil Wars. Yes, you can see up over this because this is technically an advertisement because I'm selling something. But not more of them. Anyway, let's get back to these. Gettysburg was not the first battle of the war. The Civil War. And it was not a light battle. A lot. But it was the biggest. Captain America. I was gonna read it. No, no. Me. Me. No. Me. Me. No. Me. No. Shoulder. I named you Captain America because he's my favorite super. But now you're getting me to soldier. 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 I mean. Shoulder. When could you talk? Oh, this entire time. I was just waiting for you to go away. What the hell? Get out of here. I'm gonna bite you. Sorry, guys. Gettysburg was not the first battle of the Civil War, and it was not the last, but it was the bloodiest. About 165,000 soldiers took part in it. 90,000 from 90,000 Union soldiers against 75,000 Southern soldiers.